Well, you're going to go up top. Look at Cesaro. Still got some fight in him. It's appropriate. They're battling in the shadow of the WrestleMania sign. Oh, Cesaro now. What is he going to do from here? Went for the sunset flame counter. And now Cesaro, uppercut, flooring the champion. Going for the neutralizer. Cesaro, neutralizer. Neutralizer to the champion. Here's the counter champion. Cesaro beat the champion. Cesaro beat the champion.
Here is your winner, Cesaro.
That is a career-defining victory, ladies and gentlemen, for Cesaro.
We have seen a young man step into the spotlight, and it's never been brighter, and he has never been better.
Zeb Coulter has been bragging about Cesaro for months to everyone who would listen. And tonight, on the grand stage, in the main event of Friday Night SmackDown, Cesaro has pinned the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. An absolutely stunning turn of events.
Wrestling fans, are you ready?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
I am the voice of the voiceless.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Sorry about your damn luck.
I deserve one more match.
It's gonna be the end of the world as you know it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another electric edition of WrestleRant Radio, live here on EC Radio. I'm your host with the most, Bleacher Report featured columnist Graham GSM Matthews. Extremely excited for the future of pro wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. We have Elimination Chamber in just 5 days, the final stop before the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania. It's going to be epic, and not only that, we are only 5 days away, or 6 days away, I should say, until the launch of the revolutionary WWE Network, which I am hoping to launch or hoping to acquire on the night of the launch. Extremely excited for that. That should be absolutely epic. But not only that, we're going to be talking about Elimination Chamber predictions on tonight's show, Monday Night Raw from last night, and our review of the show, and a bunch of other news and notes. But before I go any further, I'm going to be joined by Jacob Bloom, an avid pro wrestling fan. How's it going tonight, Jacob?
Oh, doing all right, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been really excited to do this again since we did it last time.
Yeah, no problem. It's been quite a while since I've talked to you live on the airwaves, so I'm looking forward to tonight's show as well. And of course, folks, if you want to get involved in tonight's show, tweet me on Twitter with the hashtag, no, I'm thinking of my other show. Just tweet me on Twitter, at WrestleRant on Twitter, or like my official Facebook page, at Graham GSM Matthews. As far as the hashtag thing goes, you guys can send me questions for my YouTube channel, at Graham GSM Matthews, for my weekly Monday mailbag video, at Graham GSM Matthews on YouTube with the hashtag AskGSM. You could send me tweets, Facebook posts, whatever. Jacob sent me a question a number of weeks ago about dream matches, and hopefully we will be able to talk about that at the end of tonight's show. So also looking very much forward to that. But of course, you can listen to this show every single week right here on EC Radio, Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8/7 Central Time. It's some great stuff. You can check out the official archive over at my official website, nextairwrestling.weebly.com. Every episode up until the show's debut in October is up there, so make sure to check that out as well. But without any further ado, before we get into Monday Night Raw, before we get into Elimination Chamber, we're going to be talking some news and notes for just a brief bit, kicking it off with a rumor that was circulating around the web this past week in regards to Randy Orton. A report was issued just a number of days ago stating that the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Randy Orton could very well be on the verge of a face turn, apparently since WWE officials aren't faithful in the current faces of the WWE, Sheamus, John Cena, and whoever else, since CM Punk recently left the company, and he was seen as the number 2 babyface in the company. So with him gone, a lot of people are speculating who will be the one to take his spot, or if anybody We have Sheamus as a babyface right now, Big Show, who really hasn't appeared on television all that much. We've got Christian, Daniel Bryan, who some argue should be the number 2 babyface. We've got Batista back. And that was also mentioned in the report as well, that WWE officials weren't apparently confident that Batista will be getting over as a babyface anytime soon. Since he came back about a month ago, he really hasn't been receiving all that strong of reactions. So I guess that would be the motivation behind turning Randy Orton heel. In my opinion, I think it would be a terrible idea. I guess it said in the report that it would happen after WrestleMania. Before WrestleMania, at WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, doesn't make a difference. Randy Orton should not turn face again. Sure, he was over with the crowd for as long as he was face, for about 3.5 years, I think it was, until turning heel finally at SummerSlam 2013. And although his heel run over the last 6 months or so has been a bit lackluster, that's only because WWE has booked him so terribly and being involved with the Authority and stuff like that. I don't think turning him back face would be the best option, especially since we already have an over-excessive amount of faces in the WWE and not enough heels. So keep him as a heel, just kind of move him away from the Authority, because obviously that isn't working out, but that was just a rumor. Making the rounds this past week. So hopefully there is no truth to that rumor. So Jacob, what are your thoughts on Randy Orton potentially turning heel at some point in the near future?
You mean Randy Orton turning face, or?
Oh, did I say heel? Yeah, I'm sorry, I meant babyface. Yep.
Oh, okay. I was confused for a second. I don't know, man. It's with him the way you have it set up. I think the combination of the 2 titles has really mixed up the heel and face aspect. When you have one title like this and this many faces, you can't really progress the title any more than what it is. I feel like the title's at a stagnant right now as far as storyline, and I mean, he would do no good as a face, but then again, he's not really doing any good as a heel. I think Randy Orton, I think he fits in a category of like 2 or 3 guys right now that are really just kind of like the wrestling equivalent of like bland oatmeal. They're just there to be there. There's nothing they can really do. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think he's worth much face or heel right now as far as storyline goes.
I think just the booking of his character over the last 6 months or so has just been so inconsistent. I have no problem with him as a heel, because I think he's a very natural heel. He proved that while he was still a face, because he was still showing heel mannerisms. And he was over and whatever, so that wasn't really the issue. It's just the fact that he's been so inconsistent over the last 6 months, because he's been treated as an inferior to the Authority, despite the fact that he's been the WWE World Heavyweight Champion for a number of months now. So I think turning him back face would be a huge mistake. As we said before, there's so many faces on the roster right now, and the fact there's only one World Championship kind of throws things into disarray. But that being said, though, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Well, in my opinion, I mean, everything that you have with Randy Orton, you could have with Batista. And I think it'd be a lot more entertaining to have him in Randy Orton's role. I mean, in my opinion, he's got, better mic and better personality skills than Randy Orton. I've never really enjoyed Randy Orton on a microphone at all, ever. But I think I just never have. I don't understand it. But I think Batista could do everything that Randy Orton's doing and do it on a higher level.
Oh, no, absolutely. Batista should most definitely be heel. He should have been, well, I mean, I guess I understand him coming back as a face and whatever, and just the fact that he came back and won the Royal Rumble 6 days later, a lot of people got upset about that, myself included. That's understandable, and he works much better as a heel as well. We saw that before he left. I don't think reversing the roles would be the best idea. However, I do think they should be both heel at the same time. I've been thinking you maybe put them back together as a heel faction in the Authority with Triple H. Have a little Evolution reunion, all 3 of them. Maybe throw in Ric Flair as well. I don't really know. But
Ric Flair's still on the roster. I mean, Ric Flair still has a breath in his lungs. He's worth something.
Yeah, exactly. I think he made an appearance at the Old School Raw show a couple months ago. Yeah. So, yeah, he could definitely make an appearance on the road to WrestleMania. I would certainly hope so. But that being said, though, although Randy Orton's character hasn't been all that fun to watch develop, so to speak, his in-ring skills have not dwindled at all. Face, heel, tweener, or whatever.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, his matches with Daniel Bryan, Cesaro just this past week, even his match with John Cena last week was very, very good. He's definitely one of the better in-ring workers.
in the ring, Randy Orton is awesome. He always has been. I mean, I think one of my favorite matches I've ever seen in the modern era was the one between him and Punk at WrestleMania a few years back. That was an incredible match. It's not his wrestling. It's not his wrestling skills. It's just his personality has just always kind of been bland to me.
Oh, yeah. He's got the personality of a piece of cardboard. I mean, his mic skills aren't that great either. Like you just mentioned, I just hate the fact, and they didn't do it this week, thank the Lord. Actually, they did do it to an extent, but Randy Orton would always open the show with one of his stagnant, hi, my name is Randy Orton promos, just the same thing, week in and week out. Either it was him or the Authority. It was just ridiculous. Thankfully, we didn't get that.
Talk about killing. A friend of mine, not really my friend, I guess you consider her my sister-in-law, she was hanging out with us for a while and just started watching wrestling recently. Like, I'm talking in the last 4 months, she's been watching wrestling like never before. And then she said it. Somebody who hasn't even been watching it for years, like you and I have. She says, like, this is just killing the show, like, right out of the gate. Like, which I already kind of want to take a nap. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't even watch wrestling. Yeah. That hasn't been watching it. I mean, she loves it. She hasn't been watching it for very long. But even when somebody who's not very knowledgeable about the business and is just watching it on a pure entertainment level thinks something is, they don't even know what exciting or not exciting is, and they still know that's not exciting. So I think that speaks volumes for what they have, the ability for Randy Orton or the Authority to have any kind of storyline progression.
Yeah, that's saying a lot. I mean, they always say, you say Randy Orton's boring, that's only the internet mark's opinion. It's not. That's what the casual fans are thinking too. I mean, it's not drawing ratings. I mean, if it was, that's something. But I don't think I don't think the Authority coming out or Randy Orton coming out at the start of every single show saying the same exact crap every single week is exactly going to draw in big numbers for the flagship show. But that's merely one's opinion.
Well, we'll see CM Punk leaving. And everything since the Royal Rumble, I think since the Royal Rumble, it's just been, I don't know if it's on purpose or what they're doing, but ever since the Royal Rumble, it has just been a subpar. I mean, the matches have been great. There's been some great matches since the Royal Rumble and Raw and SmackDown, but just as far as anywhere to go, you can't really go anywhere any certain way this close to WrestleMania.
Yeah, they're just kind of in a holding pattern.
Yeah, translating into boring television. To think about it, the last 3 Raws have ended pretty much the same way, with the exception of the Pier 6 they had at the end of the night on Monday, which, I mean, we've seen that a million times. But those 2-3 Raws before that, it was John Cena going over Randy Orton in some kind of manner, and that's how they've ended the night. Like, it's just, it's boring. It's 2003 all over again.
Yeah, we're taking the time machine. We're taking the DeLorean back to 10 years ago. But that being said, though, I don't think it's even been since the Royal Rumble. I know we had some good Raws at the start of the year. We had the Old School Raw show. The New Year's Eve show from a couple months ago was very good.
That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the product as a whole, I mean, one show doesn't make the whole product better, but a lot of people have been saying, and I wholeheartedly agree, that the product hasn't been all that great since, coincidentally enough, 6 months ago today at SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam was the peak of when WWE was doing its best. That whole summer season I thought was fantastic. And then just for some reason, they just kind of fell off the face of the earth after that. The product hasn't been all that great. I think in the last few weeks it hasn't been terrible because, like I said, they're in a holding pattern at the moment before WrestleMania. And a lot of people aren't completely trashing the product or not praising the product either, because they're just kind of holding out hope until, after the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view,
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fans' response is, I mean, even everybody from casual to hardcore wrestling fans are just like, well, we can't, I mean, there's no way you can argue with it being bad. I mean, it's not bad, it's not good, it's just, it seems like it's on, it's like you're driving a car on cruise control, like you gotta steer it, but you're not accelerating in any way, shape, or form. Now, this has happened a couple of times in wrestling on purpose. They've purposely done this when they've big reveals at pay-per-views. Or honestly, I think this is all building up to something huge this Sunday and then the following Monday night afterwards.
Oh, yeah, I would really, really hope so. I mean, with the launch of the WWE Network, whoever I had on last week, Chris Mueller, and I were talking about this last week. The night after the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, all eyes are going to be on Monday Night Raw. We've got The Undertaker potentially coming back. We've got Hulk Hogan maybe coming back next week for the first time in 5-6 years.
Oh,
so
that's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a great, great show, and I really hope it lives up to expectations, because the road to WrestleMania, they say it starts at the Royal Rumble, but we really haven't had any clear indication of what we're getting at that show, despite the fact that Batista will more than likely, and I can't say will be, because anything can happen between now and then, going for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Well, they can't expect a lot. That's probably going to go into Elimination Chamber predictions, so I'll wait for the latter part of the show.
Yeah, but I mean, just WrestleMania 30 in general. Someone mentioned this to me yesterday, I think it was, that WrestleMania 30, just not a lot of people are getting excited about it. WWE hasn't done a great job of promoting it, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania. They made a bigger deal out of their 25th anniversary 5 years ago, maybe, which probably wasn't the best idea, because I don't think that was a great show in my opinion. But anyway, WrestleMania 30.
Well, you also have to remember, I mean, from a business aspect, this WrestleMania coming up is, it's the 30th WrestleMania.
Yep.
But with the WWE Network launch, there's not, they're going to make a killing financially like they do every year at WrestleMania. But there's not going to be that room for that massive financial overturn, because you got to think most of the people getting this pay-per-view are going to get it for $10.
Yep.
If you think about it. So they're, I mean, I don't know if that factor, like I said, nobody knows how the big machine works unless you're actually in it. But from my perspective, it seems to me like they're not really pulling the trigger on this year's WrestleMania too much, because they know there's not going to be, that those hundreds of thousands of people ordering it for $60. You know what I mean?
No, that's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Only time will tell. I mean, like we said, we've got another week or even 6 days until they really start pushing the build until WrestleMania, because Elimination Chamber, not every match is predictable. I mean, a lot of the matches on the card are, but I mean, as we've seen in the last few weeks, I mean, CM Punk, the top star in the company, one of the top stars in the company, left the company just a number of weeks ago. So anything can happen between now and WrestleMania on April 6th. But before we go on, though, I just want to talk about another news note that came across the web just a few short days ago that mentioned, I think it was maybe last week, but it said that Christian's contract will be coming to an end by year's end. So it didn't really specify what month. I'm not sure if it was in the summer or if it was towards December or whatever. But it stated that Christian's current contract in WWE will be coming to an end at least by the end of 2014. Like I said, it wasn't specific, but personally, I think this could be it for Christian at the age of 40, whatever he is at the moment, and maybe 42. I'm not really sure exactly. But he's had a heck of a run over the last maybe 20 years. I think he's been in the business. Former two-time World Heavyweight Champion. I think a lot of people haven't really been cutting him a lot of slack lately. Maybe I'm just saying this because I'm a Christian fan, so I'll get your thoughts in a minute, Jacob. But he's had a lot of great matches, in my opinion, over the last few weeks since he came back with Jack Swagger. He had a really good match with D-Bry this past week. And it's interesting, too, because he showed signs of a heel turn on Monday, days after people were saying that he was portraying a bland babyface, and I wholeheartedly agree, despite being a fan of his. They weren't really giving a lot of people a reason to care about him, because a lot of people knew that he wasn't going to win the Chamber. So I think that was a good approach to take with Christian, to turn him heel, because he was more interesting as a heel back in 2011 than he was as a face. So I look forward to what they do with his character, but I want to get your 2 cents on it as well.
Well, I mean, we touched on this, if anybody has a long memory, we touched on this the last time we were on the radio, my feelings about Christian. I've liked Christian at some times, I've despised him other times, and not in a good heel despised way. Like, like I said, he's another one of those guys that fits in that category, that heel or face. I don't think he's another victim of the combining of the titles, in my opinion. I mean, with a combined title, you're never going to see a Christian WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I'm sorry, it won't happen.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't have the longevity. He doesn't have, that spark. I mean, the most entertaining Christian, I think, ever was when he was with Tyson Tomko, like a few years ago. He was the most entertaining you'll ever see him, and they didn't put the strap on him then, so they're not going to put it on him ever. So at that point, you're 40 years old, you've made your money, it's time to go home, man, or head to the Legends circuit and sell autographs for $40 a pop.
It's interesting, too, that you mentioned that because, like you said, he had his most entertaining run, and I think it was 2005 when he was doing the whole Tomko thing and whatnot, and then he left the company just a few short months later. So that was interesting. Yeah. But even still, almost 10 years later, I think he could still be a valuable asset to the company and, putting over stars. I mean, remember, this guy's a former world champion, so a win over him.
Working with developmental, maybe?
Oh, yeah, down in the NXT.
Trainer, like a Bill DeMont or somebody like that?
Oh yeah. I'm just from an in-ring standpoint. I think he will be done obviously by the end of the year. There's not many more feuds that you can do with him, and like you said, he's never going to be a title contender for the WWE World Heavyweight title. He's probably going to be an upper mid-card or mid-card guy at best. But even still, like you said, as an NXT trainer or something along those lines. And I was thinking about this earlier today too. There's a lot of guys that fall into this category, like Christian. There's guys like Christian. Rey Mysterio is a prime example of a guy who's heading home in the next year or so. That guy needs to retire. I mean, I like Rey Mysterio, but he's at the tail end of his career with the amount of injuries that he's sustained.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like Christian, but he's very injury prone as well, so I don't see him getting past another injury after he suffered a concussion 6 months ago, and it took him 6 months to get back. So him, Rey Mysterio, Mark Henry probably, Kane I could see going for another few years. Big Show actually debuted 15 years ago from this past weekend, and I wrote an article on how he should definitely wind down his career as well because there's nothing.
Yeah, I read that. That was a very good article.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he was winding down his career, or he should be winding down his career. There's nothing left for him to do. And then someone tweeted me, maybe no more than a few hours later, that he did an interview that day, too. It was the timing was just hilarious. That he said that he's going to be sticking around in WWE for another 4 or 5 years. And I mean,
that is ridiculous.
How much could he do in 4 to 5 years? I mean, this guy, he got... I don't even want to go down what he's done in the last few months or so because it's going to take me the next 45 minutes to discuss this. But this guy got beat down by Brock Lesnar and made his return in the segment with Betty White. I mean, I like Betty White, but I mean, come on, that's a little stupid. But
yeah, that's inconsistency storyline telling. But that's been the norm for the last year or so with the WWE. So
yeah.
I mean, Daniel Bryan and. I mean, now, who knows? They might circle around and talk about why the Wyatts, abducted him someday, but they just take him over and, hey, they're on SmackDown now. Like,
yep.
I don't know if they're trying to portray the Wyatts as, like, weird, creepy, hillbilly sexual assaultists or something, but I just don't understand I don't understand why they just drop stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, if they did it, like, and that's happened before. I mean, the Raw GM, stuff like that, but I think they might have Milky Whited that was saying it was, who was it supposed to be, Hornswoggle or something?
Hornswoggle, yeah. Good
but,
times.
I mean, it's just, to do that in such a fast nature, I think they just don't know if they understand that people don't just watch wrestling on it. It's not a serial show. It's you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're running it like it's a Tales from the Crypt or something. It's, every new episode, is new storylines, but that's not how it is. Like, people do exist and they have memories, and I just don't understand their decisions sometimes.
Yeah, it insults our intelligence. I mean, the Wyatt thing, it's not like it was, like, the Raw GM, like you mentioned, that was over a year in the making or whatnot, and then they never revealed it after, they dropped it and whatever in favor of Triple H coming back as the COO. The Daniel Bryan thing lasted all of 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks, and they didn't provide any logic. I mean, Daniel Bryan cut a brief promo like the next week, but I mean, come on. I mean, there was really no point to it. I mean, the fact they even did it in the first place was kind of stupid if they knew he was going to be over as heck anyway, because they got that reaction, that massive yes chant from one of those basketball games around that time.
Like I said, it was 2 weeks, and we were saying the same thing, that it's kind of like have 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Like, yeah, you could have drugged that on, but that crowd was so hot.
Yep.
That night he did that. I mean, you could have risked that, and having a dead crowd and having it not work, but
yep,
it's kind of, it doesn't really matter because I think it turned out really well anyway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The reaction that he received that night, the reaction that he received this past week on Monday Night Raw was monstrous. I mean, this guy's still very much over despite the fact that WWE's booking has held him down in a massive way. His yes chant is just so simple. Maybe that's one of the leading factors why he's over so much, is because his chant is just so easy, and people like chants. People love chants. R-Truth, for a prime example, I'm not a fan of R-Truth whatsoever, but at least he's a fan favorite, at least he's a face. But his What's Up thing always gets one of the biggest reactions of the night because people like catchphrases, and that's why Daniel Bryan's his whole yes chant, stuff like that is just massively over. This guy's so over that he can make Rosa Parks say yes over and over again. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Then again, though, I think that if you really, in this day and age in wrestling, you got to think that has to work against him as far as, getting a title run or anything. Because I've said this, just to people I watch wrestling with, he's so over, he doesn't really need the title. And even if you put the title on him, I think that would kill his steam because, once he gets the title, there's nothing the fans can really strive for him to do anymore. And then we'll get the Daniel Bryan we got a couple years ago that's just, jobbing to Sheamus in 9 seconds. So I think they have to keep what they have going, and it's just putting the title on him, I think, will ruin it, in my opinion.
Well, the way that I see it is that they started this story back at SummerSlam when he won the championship finally, and then he got it taken away from him. And then, excusing the stupid title change they did at Night of Champions, which should have never happened. It was a wasted opportunity. No. They started the story, and I think in my mind they need to finish it by giving him the championship. Should the title reign last a month or a day or an hour or whatever? No, it shouldn't. I think it should last a while. But to your point, though, what should he do when he finally captures the championship? I don't know, he could be put in a good feud with maybe Cena or whoever else, because like CM Punk, he was in a long chase for the WWE title a couple years ago, and he went on to have one of the best WWE title runs in modern WWE history. He held that title for 434 days. So I think Daniel...
you also got to remember, though, that Daniel Bryan doesn't have the personality that CM Punk had.
Good point. But CM Punk
could have carried a wet towel for 434 days and he would have still been as important as if he was the champion or not. Daniel Bryan, while he is entertaining and he is fun to watch, 50% of a title run is, the work he do, and the other 50% is microphone work, and he's not strong enough on the microphone to carry a reign like CM Punk did, or, somebody like John Cena. Like, as much as the internet wrestling community likes to hate John Cena, he can work the mic. He can make a championship seem important with just a microphone. Like the best of all time could do that. Like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, guys like that. Daniel Bryan, while he is an amazing wrestler, he couldn't hold the title with his personality, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Well, my theory has always been you won't know unless you try. So they should just put the championship on him anyway, I think. And then, give him a good reign with it. If it doesn't work, if the segments don't work, if his promos don't work, then you take the title off him. And the only issue is that with his previous 2 title runs is that they never really gave him a chance because they only lasted a minute or a day, or you know what I mean? Like they never really gave him a chance to run with it.
I thought he was going to hold it longer. When he came out and they had the, they did it was a good swerve. It might have been a swerve that nobody liked, but he had the side plates.
Yep.
The custom side plates, and I was thinking, okay, well, they're going to run with him for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe put him in something against Punk, and then they stripped it of him, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't see that coming. Maybe it wasn't necessarily in a good way, but it happened, I guess.
I don't know, that whole story... No, go ahead.
Sorry. All of this conversation is if you think about it, it goes back to, it's kind of ironic, mentioning CM Punk, because he said in his promo a few years ago, it doesn't matter what happens to anybody, we're still going to dump money into the place.
Yep.
So they can really do whatever they really want to do. And I think rather than take that towards the direction of, making interesting things and doing different things, they're just saying, okay, well, we can just put this milky white stuff out here. People are still going to buy it.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, we will continue to watch regardless. I think we won't be satisfied with the product, but the show must go on anyway. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. But
hey, think about it, they're the only show in town.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
there's no competition.
Their backs against the wall like they did in the 90s.
Yep.
WCW breathing down their necks. So there's no need for...
Yep.
And the TNA's they're 30 seconds away from fold at any given time.
Yeah, don't get me started on TNA. I love TNA, but we can go on for hours about TNA. I think we trashed TNA quite a bit.
Heart. TNA has single-handedly almost made me hate being a wrestling fan, to be quite honest with you. They have a lot...
No, go ahead.
If you sat me down, I wrote a list of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Right now, TNA has at least 4 or 5 of them.
Yep.
6 of them with Davey Richards. And they're just not doing anything. It's just nonsense. It's hard to watch. It's just hard.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I think the product, as far as TNA goes, I mean, we'll get back to WWE, and I just want to give this 10 seconds. No, it's no problem at all.
You mentioned TNA, and I got sidetracked. Sorry.
No, yeah, it's okay. TNA has been doing better, but they are not in any way, in any form, a competition to WWE. A lot of people say that. I don't think they'll go out of business. I'll just put that rumor to rest. I don't think they'll go out of business, but they've just taken such a hit over the last year or so. I did a tally of how many people that left the company last year, including your favorite wrestler, Matt Morgan, and
I'm gonna hate Matt Morgan.
And there was just so many people, like dozens and dozens of people left the company or quit or were released or whatever in the last year. It was crazy, but yeah, they are no competition. So yeah, going back to the original point, WWE can do whatever the hell they want because there is no competition. ROH, TNA, no one's a competition. But the
only competition they have is TWG, but that's never going to be any kind of.
Yeah,
that's the best, in my opinion, right now. I've been watching wrestling, like I said, since I was old enough to open my eyes to even look at the TV. TWG is the greatest wrestling in this country, hands down.
I have yet to check it out, actually. I've heard rave reviews about it, and it's a nice alternative to WWE from what I've heard. So I still have to check it out. But, it's nice hearing that, though, but I'll definitely have to check it out. But, yeah.
It speaks volumes. I mean, in the last, 7, 8, 9, I'll go 10 years.
Yep.
5 or 6 major stars in the WWE pretty much cut their teeth in Ring of Honor and PWG. Like Cesaro, Bryan, Punk, a lot of guys. It is a great place. It's a bunch of guys loving what they do, perfecting their craft, and it's awesome to watch.
It was awesome that WWE did that article on ROH a couple weeks ago, too. That was very cool of them to mention that. So I don't think they'll have a working agreement with ROH or anything. I think that'd be awesome if they did, like WWE.
I could see them doing maybe an ECW
exactly.
thing they did in the 90s, man.
Exactly.
Like, have an ROH invasion or something. And
yep.
Because right now they can't really hurt themselves. Ring of Honor is not going to, overtake them.
Yeah,
they're not going to do it with TNA because there's too many, former guys that used to be in TNA. But there's enough WWE guys that have left in Ring of Honor didn't really leave WWE under negative terms. Guys like Matt Hardy, Rhino, guys like that. They're faces that people love, and I'm telling you, Ring of Honor, they already kind of set the groundwork, not really set the groundwork, but left the idea open with the CM Punk DVD.
Exactly, yeah. It all started with the Punk Pipe Bomb a couple of years ago.
Yep.
But
and then, he mentioned New Japan Pro Wrestling and, stuff like that. It's just, I would love to see them do something with Ring of Honor like they did with ECW, because in the PG era, you're never going to get the extreme.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be, we're coming in here, we're crazier than you, we're going to jump off scaffolding and break tables. But the popular opinion of the wrestling community as a whole, the WWE guys, with the exception of, our solid group, can't really work. So they could come in and do the ECW Extreme member with just pure wrestling talent.
Mm-hmm.
They could say, we're better wrestlers than you. We could do what we do better than you. And you could have insider guys, like you could have Bryan. Can you imagine if Bryan spearheaded the Ring of Honor, spearheaded the Ring of Honor invasion of WWE? You know what that would do for ratings? That would be huge.
It'd be something fresh too, something that they haven't done before, like an authority storyline that they do every single week. And not only WWE, TNA has been doing it for 5 years now, but it'd be something new.
Could you just imagine that Monday Night Raw? It's gonna be Randy Orton versus John Cena, for the 80th time, and then all of a sudden, here comes Cesaro and Bryan and guys like that just walking and just start beating, almost like a Nexus angle kind of thing, with just Ring of Honor guys, like dudes like Kevin Steen and guys like the guys that you'd never thought you'd see.
Yeah.
Because coming down to the ring being led by Bryan, I got goosebumps now thinking about it. That would be amazing.
I would love to see this. I don't think it would garner that big of a reaction. It's just a guilty pleasure of mine. If it goes back to the dream match thing we were talking about. Yeah, exactly. But imagine if they were able to do something like that, and they had AJ Styles finally coming over to the WWE, since he's with ROH at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Would people know who he is? Probably not. Would he get a big pop? Probably not, depending on where they are. Maybe if they're in, like, Philly or something, maybe.
No, yeah, if they did that in Nashville.
Yeah, holy shit.
Could you imagine if they had a show in Nashville and AJ Styles came down?
Yep.
That crowd would pop so hard.
Oh,
and
that'd be amazing.
That pop from Nashville would be enough for anybody else watching it to go, okay, this dude's a big deal, and then go research him.
Yeah.
And then by the time the next Monday rolled around, or the next SmackDown rolled around, people would be like, all right, well, I'm sold. This dude's awesome.
Yeah.
All you got to do is go to YouTube and type in top moves of AJ Styles, and your mind's going to be blown. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. The only issue I think they wouldn't do that, the only reason why I don't think they would do anything like that, just not even bring in other guys from like ROH, TNA, or whatever, is of course because they're building their talent now from the ground up, from the Performance Center and whatever. Did you watch that AJ Styles Leaving an Impact DVD? It was a shoot interview from like a couple months ago. Did you see that by any chance?
Yeah, I watched a lot. I watched a lot of shoot interviews from legends to guys today. His was very interesting. I think Chris Hero, a.k.a. Cassius Ohno, was really good. I think they really dropped the ball with him, man, quite honestly. He could have been big.
He was the biggest star that TNA had that has yet to compete in WWE. I know he did maybe a dark match or something, like decades ago, but I mean, logistically, he has never, realistically, he's never been in the WWE. So I think he would have had a cool run. Like I said, if he was a jobber or something, it would have been a waste. What was that?
Have you ever watched his dark match on YouTube? It's really good. I think it was him versus S.A. Rios.
Oh, really?
Something to that effect.
Was it from the early 2000s or something, or was it from the late 90s?
Yeah. It was S.A. Rios. It had been late 90s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But no, he has a dark. It's a hell. I mean, I love S.A. Rios. I thought he was a hell of a competitor. Mm-hmm. I mean, he still is. He did some stuff later. Like I said, I hate to harp on PWG, but he did some matches with them, and that was great. But yeah, his dark match was awesome, and that was 10 years ago before he was even the wrestler that he is today.
Yeah, and he's still in great shape too.
Oh, God, phenomenal shape. No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to move along here to another topic. It was reported a couple days ago in regards to the WWE Hall of Fame. Right now, we've got the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, and lead it into the WWE Hall of Fame. I would imagine they've been doing this every 2 weeks now that they've been announcing people. So I would imagine they're going to be announcing the next person the night after the Elimination Chamber, the night of the WWE Network launch, all this big stuff happening. It's been reported that the next person will be none other than Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, which makes sense since DDP's protege, the guy that he helped, Jake the Snake Roberts, is also going in this year. So that'd be awesome if if Scott Hall could go in too.
I like to see. I like the fact they're kind of setting up a personal demons category. They set up their own personal demons wing of the Hall of Fame this year with the Warrior and.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go one step further, quite honestly. I think they're going to induct the NWO as a whole.
Yes.
They're going to have Hogan there.
Yes.
I mean, have you seen Scott Hall recently? He looks great. He's not wrestling shape, obviously.
Yeah.
But the Kevin Nash came back at the Rumble.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I think they're going to put all three of them in there.
Yep.
And that would be, the NWO showing up, that would be great.
Absolutely. And Scott Hall was never a world champion or a main event player or anything, but I think it'd be much better to have... Hulk Hogan is a guy, like Ric Flair, that's a huge enough name in WWE pro wrestling history that he is worthy of 2 Hall of Fame rings like Ric Flair for being in the Four Horsemen. And the NWO is one of those legendary factions, along with the Four Horsemen, that deserves a place in the WWE Hall of Fame. I think they're going to induct him last year. What was that?
The main thing we talk about, the faces and heel turns. We were just talking about this earlier. You can't tell me a bigger heel turn than Hulk Hogan that night with the Bash at the Beach 97 with the NWO. You cannot tell me a bigger heel turn of all time. He deserves that moment deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, let alone just him as a bad guy.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, all the stars are aligning. Everything's falling into place with Kevin Nash is in the Royal Rumble, using the NWO music, not his Diesel music like he did a couple years ago. I thought that was a great moment. And then Hulk Hogan, like you mentioned, will be coming back, or hopefully will be coming back this upcoming Monday on Raw. Scott Hall's in a much better place now, and his good friend Jake the Snake Roberts is going in. DDP, what an amazing night that would be for him if you could induct both of them. That'd be phenomenal. So I would very much look forward.
For sure, for me anyway.
What was that?
That'd be a major tearjerker for me.
Oh yeah,
I grew up Jake the Snake Roberts was. I mean, I used to watch it when I was a kid. I mean, it was color. It's like, Crazy Things, the Ultimate Warrior, and loud noises and stuff. And then Jake the Snake Roberts was the first person to ever make me like a wrestler because of his microphone work when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. They have such a strong Hall of Fame class this year. Yeah, I completely agree.
And on Scott Hall, for me personally, I think his wrestling style is probably one of my favorites of all time. You can't tell me if there was ever a bad Scott Hall match because I've never seen one.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I absolutely agree. They had such a strong class last year with Bruno, McFoley, Booker T, Trish, that they need an equally awesome Hall of Fame class this year. And I believe they had another good class.
Well, I mean, I've been saying this since the first inductee. Randy Macho Man Savage, for goodness sake, man. There's the list of people that are in the Hall of Fame that aren't Macho Man Savage is just being mind-blowing to me.
Mm-hmm. No,
Jay Leno, he's in the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not.
I mean, no, he's not. Drew Carey. I meant Drew Carey. I had my head stuck in WCW. Drew Carey is in the WWE Hall of Fame, and Randy Savage isn't. That is just an atrocity.
No, I hear you. And speaking of such, too, speaking of the Celebrity Hall of Fame wing, we've been getting a celebrity inducted for the last few years now. Donald Trump, I didn't mind all that much because he was, a crucial part of the early WrestleManias. So I didn't think that was that bad. This year it might be Cyndi Lauper or even Mr. T. That would be pretty.
God, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely, I think that'd be a great addition. More so than the the WrestleMania 1 main event that was rumored to be inducted. I think that'd be pretty stupid.
Yeah, what? That's nobody. No.
Yeah, no, I agree. But what was I going to say? In regards to the Hall of Fame, I don't know. Macho Man. I think the only reason why they haven't inducted him, or one of the reasons why they haven't inducted him, is because of the whole family issue, like they have with Owen Hart and and his brother Lanny, and they said they don't want to induct him unless they induct the whole family. They should just induct the whole family and just get it over with. He's not going to be a headliner, Macho Man, as a WWE Hall of Fame headliner, like the main attraction, because he's deceased, so that wouldn't make much sense. Yeah. Or, same thing with the Rick Rude or anything along those lines. I think he could be a nice secondary attraction, and they can have his family induct him. And just for the hell of it, just induct his entire family. Were they as great as Macho Man? Of course not. But I mean, if it means getting Macho Man into the Hall of Fame,
even Lonnie Poffo was not as good as Randy Savage right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But as long as he gets in the Hall of Fame, that's all that matters, in my opinion. But just want to talk about a brief note here. It was last week. I was going to talk about this last week, but we didn't have time. I forgot about it or whatever. Antonio Cesaro is now just Cesaro, and Big E Langston is now Big E. The point of these name changes are beyond me. I have zero idea. One report indicated that Vince McMahon was not high on the idea of, or not high on the name of Antonio because it didn't make it sound like a tough name or a tough guy name or something stupid.
Well, I don't understand how a Swiss guy gets the name of Antonio in the first place.
Yeah, that was kind of weird to begin with, yeah. But
I mean, I don't understand why he has such a problem with guys just using their independent names. Yeah. I mean, his independent name, Claudio Castagnoli, it might have been a little bit hard to pronounce, but that is a strong, amazing wrestling name.
And it's unique, too.
You can call him Double C, you got the Arn Anderson thing going on.
Yep.
I mean, Claudio Castagnoli, you could have just, shortened it to Claudio or whatever you wanted to do, but that's a great name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just goes to show that, independent guys kind of come in with a foot down over anybody else, seems like, anyway, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Punk and Bryan got lucky. I mean, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, it's essentially the same name, so he got lucky there. But, CM Punk was very lucky to come in with his name. But, that being said, though, Cesaro as itself isn't that bad. Big E is the name that I have a problem with because, first, it doesn't make any sense. People could just chant Langston, or people aren't going to chant Big E. Maybe they will. It just doesn't make much sense. And with Big Show still in the WWE for the next 5 years, as we talked about earlier on, Big E and Big Show, I mean, it doesn't make much sense. You can't have two names that are almost exactly identical in the same company at the same time. I just don't see the purpose in changing.
Maybe they're setting up for a battle for the name at WrestleMania, considering the booking.
Some people are saying that they're going to debut a guy in NXT named Antonio Langston. So maybe that's what the whole purpose was behind all of this. But
Antonio Langston.
It was just so, I don't know, I just didn't understand the whole name change thing. But Cesaro could get along, he can get, he can get by just fine with just the name Cesaro. Big E Langston, I don't know. Just with Big E, that's just a little strange to me. But
I'm never just going to call them Big I just can't. There's just, for the whole time, it's always Big E Langston. Like, that's a great name. I don't understand why,
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Well, they got to make him go the Prince route and just give him one name. I don't get it.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. That was just a little odd. But, speaking of Cesaro, this past week I played the audio before the show. Cesaro defeating Randy Orton in clean fashion on SmackDown. What an amazing matchup that was. By far, I think, actually it's debatable at this point with last night, but by far one of the best matches of 2014 up to this point. And then last night that was put up to debate when he faced John Cena on Monday Night Raw. Of course,
I'm like every internet wrestling fan. I despise John Cena on a pretty big level, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and the things that I marked out for weren't things Cesaro did; they were things Cena did.
Yeah,
the reversal out of the big swing into the DDT. That was
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's just the thing. I'm going, okay, I like. It's been subtle, and it's not been, really mentioned too much from what I've seen. But the last year, maybe year and a half, John Cena has really stepped up his wrestling games, I think. I mean, it doesn't do anything towards me liking him or not. Like, even the moves he tries to do still look a little shoddy. Like, he has the worst Hurricane Rana I've ever seen in my
I give him
life.
props for attempting it, though.
Yeah. I mean, he took a pile driver. It's just, the things he's done in the last year have made me hate him less, but I hate him mainly because of the fact that I feel that his aura is what doesn't allow the guys that I like to get up. It's a typical wrestling fan, grew up in Grimeland,
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. His character isn't great. I completely agree with that. His wrestling skills, I would go even further beyond that and say that he's been proving the critics wrong as far as his you can't wrestle chance goes since 2011 during his match with CM Punk at Money in the Bank a couple years ago. I thought that was a tremendous match, and from that point forward, he's been having great matches. His matches with The Rock, those are debatable, but everything else I think has been fantastic. His matches with Daniel Bryan.
What are you talking about? He just won a match of the year. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He got match of the year.
If they wanted to give it to Cena, I understand that. But give it to Cena and Bryan. From SummerSlam. That was one of the best matches John Cena's ever had, period.
Yeah, that was an excellent match. Him and Cesaro, him and Punk, like you mentioned. It was a year ago next week that he had that amazing matchup with CM Punk on Raw that lasted a half an hour when the winner went to WrestleMania. So, yeah, I completely agree.
Heard around the world.
yeah, that was such an amazing match.
My girlfriend's always been watching wrestling as long as we've been together, so probably less than a year. She got hooked on the CM Punk DVD. We watched it on Netflix, and she was like, "Oh, I want to watch it again, see that guy." And then I wasn't watching Raw because I had to go to work. I worked third shift. She texted me and said, "I don't know what just happened, but it looked brutal." And I'm like, "What?" So then I got on Twitter, and I think it was you or somebody else said something about a pile driver, and I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, that was a great match. I got to go back and watch that.
It's a great move, man.
Yeah.
It's one of the best moves of all time.
It's classic.
I mean, but
I think the fact that it's not used anymore is a good thing, because when it is used, in WWE it's banned, but I mean, CM Punk went against the grain, and I think it was Punk that used it, not Cena, I don't think, but
yeah, no, that's what I said. Cena took it. Like, that's what
Oh, yeah. But, the fact that it's not used anymore, and when they do use it in a blue moon, and when they use it, it feels that much more special. Like when over in, not to trash TNA like every other typical guy on the internet, but when Bully Ray did the pile driver to Mr. Anderson week in and week out, and pile driving every member of Aces and Eights, and saying, "I'm going to pile drive your wife and your kids every single week," come on, it loses its impact after the first 3 times.
Bully Ray's probably one of the best things that's ever happened in TNA, though. Bully Ray's a great heel, man.
He is, yeah. He does a great job of getting heat. I just think his current, again, going off on the TNA tangent, but, nonetheless, we just go all over the place here. But anyway, his feud with Anderson, it was good early on. I think it overstayed its welcome. I don't know if you saw it or not, but
that's TNA's claim to fame.
Oh, yeah.
Things.
Yeah, but they were in a church or something. Not the Aces and Eights funeral. I thought that was hilarious. but they had Anderson and Bully Ray in a funeral home, and you just see Bully Ray sitting in the back, and it was laugh out loud funny. Like, it was that hysterical, because it was it was badly produced. And the lines that they were saying were terrible. And it's just the content that they were saying in that promo was just hilarious, and not in a good way either. So
like the acting in that scene could have led up to like a hardcore porn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't even have been surprised.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was just stupid. The whole dark character that he's been doing, not my favorite incarnation of the Bully Ray character, but yeah, I definitely agree Bully Ray is a great heel. Yeah. But what were we talking about before that? Oh, John Cena. Yeah, of course, his match with Cesaro. Someone tweeted me after the match and said, "How can you enjoy this crap? Cena just buried Cesaro." I'm just sitting there laughing like, how did he bury Cesaro? If he buried Cesaro, he would have beat him in like 30 seconds with like 2 moves. That's burying someone. Yeah. You talk about burying...
He would have kicked out of 2 neutralizers or whatever.
Yeah, and the uppercuts and that... oh my God.
Just because you beat somebody doesn't mean you're burying them. Man.
Oh yeah, exactly. That suplex off the top rope was amazing. People got out of their seats and they were like, oh my God, Cesaro's going to win.
He's a lot of the moves that he's getting big, I've been watching him do for years. Like, I watched him, there was a guy, his name was TJ Perkins.
Yep, Manic in TNA, yep.
Yeah, I watched him do a giant swing, or Cesaro swing, or whatever you want to call it, on TJ Perkins for 100 revolutions.
I think that's on YouTube somewhere.
He spun that man for 100 times. And not the stupid WWE, let's count time instead of revolutions. So it was like a revolutionary 100. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It's comical. It's comical looking back on it now, because it was almost a year ago that reports were surfacing online saying that backstage officials thought that Cesaro was too boring in the ring, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
and that
came because they wouldn't let him do anything. They wouldn't let him.
And that came only days after.
I don't know what he calls it. In the WWE 2K14 game, it's called the very European uppercut. It's the back body drop into the European uppercut. He used to call it the Swiss Death when he was in a...
Yep.
That move, first time I seen him do that in a WWE ring, I was like, okay, well, that's a fine. Like, I don't understand. But the fact they're letting him... I think, watching a guy like John Cena, take such a dangerous-looking move...
Yeah.
That speaks volumes, I think, to the backstage wrestlers, how much they like him and want to see him get over by letting him, put in that good stuff. Like, that dead weight superplex balancing on a rope, that could go wrong so many ways. You could drop a guy, you could give him like an accidental brain buster on the rope or what's up, but I mean, I think it just speaks volumes to how people think of him backstage to let him do that kind of stuff on him, especially the main John Cena,
I think it was at a house show a couple months ago that either they were in Germany or Switzerland or wherever else, and Cena had a match or something, then he called out Cesaro to a big hometown pop, and he put him over huge in a huge way. And then there was a photo surfacing online of them working out together at the Performance Center. So it's no secret that Cena's very high on Cesaro. So, and otherwise...
Oh my God, before I lose my train of thought and lose my anger on this, the one thing that ruined the match, I didn't ruin it, but Michael Cole saying that John Cena and Antonio Cesaro are cut from the same wrestling deal.
Yeah.
What he said. I was watching. You got to be fucking. Oh, pardon my French. You got to be kidding me. There's no. Sorry, bodybuilder, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. No way. There's no way Cena could ever hold a candle. The only reason he looks like he holds a candle is because Cesaro carries him on his back for the match for the most part.
Yeah, that was great. That was a good line from Comedy Cole over on commentary.
I've been really upset with the commentary for a while now.
It was better last night. I think it was better last night, though. They were focused last night. They didn't spend too much time on the shenanigans.
No. Did you see the when they buried CM Punk before the Raw on YouTube?
Yeah, the go away chants.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff right there. You can just, I mean, one of the biggest stars you've had in the last 2, 3, 4 years. You just bury him. I mean, I know it wasn't on air, but I mean, still, that's necessary.
Yeah, it's not necessary at all.
I mean, I understand he's not a well-liked guy, but he doesn't deserve to be buried like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know he walked out and everything, and he deserves to be not punished for that, but he is at fault for walking out before his contract expired. But I mean, yeah, that's unprofessional.
Austin did the same thing.
What?
The biggest wrestler of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin, did the same thing.
Yep. Yes, he did.
And then the very next week, they were praising his career.
Yeah. But
you know what I mean? And then tonight, it's just, they gave him an angle for 2 or 3 weeks about Austin taking his ball and going home. Like, they fed off of him doing that, for storyline. They didn't even do that. CM Punk got Chris Benoit as soon as he left the company. Like,
yeah, immediately, too,
not to the extent, but, I mean, that's just the only way to think about it is he got Benoit, man. They're not even mentioning it.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous, yeah. I think, I don't know, let me ask you this. Would you think it'd be better if they didn't mention him at all, or if they did mention his departure but completely buried him?
Oh, what would be better? Well, I mean, obviously, as a fan of CM Punk, I'd like to say, not mentioning it at all gives it a certain allure, because guys are like, that sparks the internet debate on if it was a work or not, which there's still people out there still clinging to the fact that this could be a work.
No, it's not a work.
I would like to think, I would think not.
Yeah.
I mean, not going this far, but
I think there's a possibility that he could have re-signed and he'll come back. I don't think it was a work from the get-go.
Well, no, there's also, I don't want to call them conspiracy theories, but a buddy of mine does the Wizard World Comic-Cons, the panel with CM Punk, he was talking about storylines not being drawn out. He'd like to do something about that.
Yep.
So he'd like to see something done about that. Maybe that'd be the next thing he'd want to work on. So that got sparked debate on, okay, this could be just a long, drawn-out storyline. I think the fact that he hasn't showed up, at least showed up anywhere else, leads to maybe this could be the most intricate work of all time.
I would like to think so, man, but honestly, I don't think it's a work.
Well, probably not. Oh, no.
I would love to think so, though.
That's a little kid wrestling fan in me. Like, the adult man in me thinks that this dude just left his job. Like, there's no...
The mark in me is saying that he comes back out through the crowd in Chicago in 2 weeks. How amazing would that be, man?
That would be fucking great. Sorry, I know I curse too much, but...
Nah, it's okay.
Just the thought of that would be just...
the tail end of the show. The tail end of the show after the crowd has completely hijacked Raw after not seeing CM Punk, and then he just comes out through the crowd and gives a GTS to Triple H or Kane or whoever's in the ring. Oh my God!
I think that'd be cool. Oh my God! No, that'd be taking it way too far. They just need to have him sit in the front row, and not even mention him.
Just see him in the front row waving the camera.
Week after week in the front row. Just don't mention him on TV. Just have him do crazy shit. Hold zany signs.
Yeah. Bring Colt Cabana along with him.
Yeah, put his Spirit Society mask on and have a sign that says "I am not CM Punk" and shit like that. That would be amazing.
That would be pretty hilarious.
Oh God! Anytime you could put Colt Cabana on TV, it'd be great too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, we are winding down on the show, so we won't be able to go in-depth with our predictions, but I do want to do quick predictions for Elimination Chamber, so we'll just keep it brief. But first matchup on the card, kickoff, we got Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus Ryback and Curtis Axel. Your thoughts?
Who cares?
No prediction at all?
Two tag teams going at it. My prediction, the Rhodes, obviously.
Yeah, it's a shame they took the titles off him. But
they got to keep him. They got to keep him in the title contention. So Rhodes.
Yeah, I got Rhodes too.
I'm gonna go further than that and say Rhodes in 4 minutes and 36 seconds.
4 minutes and 36 seconds. No, yeah, I completely agree. I think the Rhodes should go over too. I think they should still face off at WrestleMania. I know there was a report saying that they won't because Goldust was denying it on Twitter, I guess. But what does that mean, honestly?
I mean, honestly, that would be awesome. You could put Dusty Rhodes in there, as a catalyst for this, and that would be amazing. That'd be entertaining television. Have Goldust be at his utmost crazy, and Cody Rhodes kind of doing his, what do you call that? The entitled shtick. That'd be awesome. But that's just me.
No, yeah, I agree. They kind of teased it on Raw this Monday, so I would hope they end up going that route. But anyway, next match on the card, we've got Darren Young versus Titus O'Neil. Your pick.
Titus O'Neil's he's just, if he doesn't beat him badly, he's still going to beat him. I mean, Titus, they're gearing Titus O'Neil up to be a bigger deal. Now, like I said, with the LGBT community thing, Darren Young's been getting a big pop for that, for lack of a better term. So I don't know, but I still say Titus going over.
I want to say Titus, but then if the Crime Time feud was any indication, when JTG went over and they both went nowhere, and then Chad got released, I would like to say Darren Young maybe, but I'll go with Titus because Darren Young.
They're both more talented than Shad and JTT from Prime Time, so I don't see
Agreed.
them going nowhere. Titus O'Neil is hilarious.
As
and
a face,
good in the ring.
I think he's a better face than he is a heel, though. That's the issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't have both faces, and they're not going to turn, the guy who just came out as gay as heel. So right now, it's going to be Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil going over.
Yep, I got O'Neil as well. Up next, we got for the WWE Tag Team titles, New Age Outlaws versus Usos. Your pick.
Honestly, I see the Usos.
Really?
I'm gonna go against the grain and say the Usos. Yeah, I think they're not making a big deal about it. I think that both teams not being on television that much. I mean, they have been on television, but both teams not. There really hasn't been too much hype for this match.
Yeah, no.
So I see the Usos going over.
I want to see the Usos win the tag team titles, but I said this during Raw on Monday on Twitter that they should win it as a monumental moment at WrestleMania, and maybe like a multi-man tag team match. Maybe you throw Ziggler and Miz in there and whoever else. The New Age Outlaws, a lot of people are crapping on their title reign, but I think it's fine.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
Really?
I think that. Oh, I know that this is not a popular opinion.
Oh no, yeah.
But I think that them coming back and doing this has been great. People have been screaming, Triple H shenanigans and whatnot or whatever. But I think that on my television every Monday night, seeing the New Age Outlaws, whether they're 60 or however old they are, I think it's more entertaining than seeing the Rhodes brothers with titles.
Ooh, I don't know. I like the Rhodes. I like the Road Brothers more, honestly. But the New Age Outlaws. The only issue that I have with them is the fact that they do their babyface shtick before every one of their matches when they're supposed to be heels. That's my only issue with them. Aside from that,
well, you also, I mean, I've read that you're not a fan of that or whatever, but you also got to understand people watching the show don't really know. They don't want to see bad guys. The bad guy New Age Outlaws. You know what I mean? They want to see them do the stuff they do when they're good guys. And I think a heel New Age Outlaw really is not that entertaining, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I agree. But yeah, I've got New Age Outlaws here, and then Usos win the titles at WrestleMania. But because, like you said, if they make a bigger deal out of this, then the Usos should win the tag team titles. But because they haven't given it all that focus, the Usos should win it on a bigger stage, and I think that should come at WrestleMania. So I got New Age Outlaws here. Up next, we've got Big E versus Jack Swagger for the IC title. Your pick.
I don't even understand why I'm being asked. Big E all day.
I've got Jack Swagger. I've got Jack Swagger, and here's why. Jack Swagger wins the IC championship. Cesaro loses a chamber. Zeb Coulter turns on Cesaro for losing at the chamber and joins Swagger because he won. Then you get a face Cesaro versus heel Swagger for the IC championship at WrestleMania. So I've got Swagger here.
That's as much as I'd like to see that, as much as that would be amazing. I see it going Big E winning, Cesaro losing the chamber, and then Cesaro winning the title at WrestleMania. And that could still do the same thing, but I don't think they'd give that program a WrestleMania spot.
No, that's a good point. I don't know. The Big E push has been questionable. I love Big E, but they really haven't been spotlighting him recently as much as they did a couple months ago. For some reason or another, I don't know why. But
there's nobody for him to face.
The mid card's essentially dead. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, but you give the title to somebody like Cesaro,
people would care.
People will care about the Intercontinental title. Cesaro could wrestle Ziggler. He could wrestle all these guys and give a name to the title again. So that's why I say Swagger loses, Cesaro goes over Big E at WrestleMania to prove he's the better part of the two.
I got Swagger, but we'll have to see. But I know Cesaro's winning the IC title at some point, so I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
And up next, we've got Batista versus Del Rio. Your thoughts?
Batista. Come on.
No, it's funny, though.
There's really no analyzation you could make of why it wouldn't be Batista.
You would think that we know Batista's winning. It's his first singles match back in 4 years. He's winning. But you would think that since we all know that WWE would have at least made an attempt to make us think that Del Rio was going over by getting the better of Batista on more than one occasion. He didn't get the best of him on one occasion. Maybe, a shot on Twitter, a verbal shot on Twitter like 2 months ago. Yeah. He's been made to look inferior on WWE TV since day one.
Del Rio's on his way out, man. Honestly, I don't think
that's probably
why. I think that's the thing with Batista. He's gone pretty much.
He's in a freaking neck brace. They made him him out to look like a complete coward and a complete wuss on Raw this week. Yeah. There was a report
and
last
that
week
hurts
saying,
me because I love Del Rio. Del Rio's in-ring work has been
it's excellent
since he came back. His matches the match he had with RVD was awesome.
Yep.
It's just Del Rio.
His character.
The Mexican aristocrat character just didn't hold its water very well, I don't think.
Yeah, it's very stagnant. His in-ring skills are very, very, very much there. He's excellent in the ring, but he's definitely on his way out, and they're probably just burying him on his way out. So no surprise there. I've got Batista as well. Now time for the two biggest, highly anticipated matches of the night. The Wyatt family versus The Shield, the first ever encounter between the two teams. Your thoughts?
Honestly, I see the Wyatt family going over due to a Shield walkout of some kind, whether it be, just Ambrose leaving or Reigns walk out. They're not going to have Reigns turn heel if Reigns turns heel and walks away from the Shield, that would actually, I think, make him more of a heel move than anything else. So I see either Ambrose and Rollins leaving and then having it be a 3-on-1 situation, and Roman Reigns still looks strong, but they'll end up beating him at the end. Keep his momentum going.
That's a very good scenario. I very much agree. I got Wyatt family going over here as well. Interesting to note that the Wyatt family has never been defeated in six-man tag team matches, unlike the Shield, who have suffered various losses in six-man tag team action. So, I got the Wyatt family as well.
The Wyatt family is the best thing going in wrestling right now, period.
I think both of them are the greatest thing going in WWE right now. They're both excellent.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Shield. I mean, I've been watching Dean Ambrose, like I said, back when he was in CZW doing crazy death matches, and Tyler Black, a.k.a. Seth Rollins, obviously, his microphone work has always been crap ever since. Even when he was in the Independents, it's just don't put a microphone near Seth Rollins. But he's gotten a lot better since his Independent days by far. But, and then Roman Reigns, the guy who I least liked out of all three of the guys, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Well, why does he deserve to be, a typical internet wrestling guy? Why the hell does this guy deserve to be with Ambrose and, Shawn Moxley and Tyler Black? And then he's the one who's impressed me the most out of all three of them.
He's come a very long way. I don't like Reigns all that much, and even I want to see him turn on the Shield. I mean, it's going to be amazing.
I don't understand this deep-voiced, somewhat urban ladies' man thing they have him going on. I don't understand. Like,
that was a little weird.
It sounds very sexual to me. And like that weird comment he made at the Wyatts on the screen was like something you hear a black grandmother say in my neighborhood.
It seems like they're setting him up to be. I mean, you can never say who's the next who, but I think he's going to be the next Rock. I think he's going to be the next Rock.
Absolutely. I mean, he's phenomenal. He is right now the most, I don't want to say interesting, but when he's on television, it's spectacular. Him and Cesaro right now are the two best.
And Bray Wyatt, too. I think the top three guys who are prime for a push.
The match between him and Daniel Bryan, that was the Bryan and... like, every time I see something great, I get mad because I'm never going to be on the show to talk about it. But Bryan and Wyatt, man, that was the best match I've seen. In my opinion, that match trumped Lesnar and Punk's the best match of the modern era.
Ooh, really? I love Lesnar Punk. I thought that had a better story going into it than Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. Obviously, the gem of the Royal Rumble. Everything else was mediocre to crap.
Yeah.
But I think that is definitely up there with the best matches of 2014. And it's only been a month and a half, so it's hard to say. But with Cesaro,
that's like.
Yeah, I mean, we're a month and a half in, but it's definitely Cesaro, Cena, Cesaro, Orton, and Bryan Wyatt as the top three matches thus far, and that's obviously going to change with WrestleMania. Like, we had Punk and Undertaker last year, holding the match of the year, gauntlet for like 6 months, so we'll have to wait and see. But finally, in the main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, an Elimination Chamber matchup pitting the current champion Randy Orton against John Cena, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Cesaro, and Christian. Your pick.
Well, barring any kind of shenanigans after the Chamber, if we're just saying let's just say, for instance, there's no room for wrestling tomfoolery, and it's winner of the Chamber versus Batista, it's got to be Cena. The WWE doesn't have the balls to give us to give us a Batista Randy Orton WrestleMania main event. But out of those guys, the only person I could see making any sense going into it would be Cena versus Batista. That's the only major marquee WrestleMania match out of all those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. We've seen that before, but I'd much rather see a rematch between those two than between Orton and Batista.
Well, we don't know what's going on with Lesnar yet. We haven't seen Lesnar in how long? because he blasted the Big Show and he was on Raw the next night, beat the hell out of everybody.
And the pay-per-view's in his hometown.
Yeah, I mean, we could see, I mean, like I said, wrestling tomfoolery, you could have, Batista versus somebody on Raw to lose his, number one contender spot. Or you could see, maybe you could see Daniel Bryan, because they kind of played it Monday night, Daniel Bryan getting injured, being taken him out of the chamber, I think could be a possibility. And, having some kind of storyline where you need to find somebody to fill Bryan's spot, and it's Lesnar.
It could happen. I don't think Lesnar wins the championship, and I don't think he should enter only if he's going to lose. It would be great to see him in his hometown, of course. Maybe just, afterwards he beats somebody up or whatever. But if he's not going to be on Raw all that much going up to WrestleMania, then I think it's kind of a waste to put the title on him. But then again, you can make the same case of The Rock from last year. So I don't know.
Well, right now, wrestling dream match, whatever. Right now, I'd love to see Bryan versus Lesnar.
Yeah, some people have said that as well.
That'd be a hell of a match.
It would be, yeah. I think a possibility is, and we've seen this done, I think, 4 years ago, but first of all, my prediction is Orton. Orton's going over. They've made him out to look weak. There's no doubt about it that he's going over. Is it predictable? It's extremely predictable. But then again, so is the Royal Rumble, and WWE obviously had no problem with going with Batista as the winner.
I swear to God, they spoiled it. When I text you on Twitter, I swear they ran that promo, and then an hour later they ran a different commercial. I'm like, they just spoiled it. Like, he just spoiled it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And I'm like, well, okay, there's no way that if they're making that big of a deal about it on the promos, there's no way he won the Rumble. But he did.
Yeah. It's so funny.
I'm still saying that they made a mistake. The USA Network made a mistake, man. I'm telling you.
Now they're not going to re-sign with NBCU. Now they're going to go to a different network because of that commercial.
Yeah, they're going to go to Spike.
Going to go to Spike, yeah. No more TNA Impact. TNA Impact is going to be on your local CBS station or whatever else, Channel 13.
Yeah.
But, I definitely think Orton's going over, unfortunately. But in a dream scenario, Bryan wins this Sunday, and then immediately afterward, Batista has his title shot. It doesn't have to be at WrestleMania. We saw No Way Out 08.
They have not specifically said.
Yeah.
They've done it before.
Yeah, like with John Cena. John Cena got his title match at the No Way Out pay-per-view back in 08. Granted, he said it before that he wants to do it beforehand, not at WrestleMania. But Batista, and this is like I was saying before, draws comparisons to 4 years ago. But Bryan wins the championship, Batista cashes in his title shot, and after all the teasing of dissension between him and Triple H, it ends up being a ruse. They're working together. He joins the Authority. He beats Bryan for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Orton's kicked out of the Authority, but is still a heel because they've been teasing tension and not showing confidence in Orton. Batista wins the title from Bryan. Bryan gets his rematch clause at WrestleMania. So does Orton. Bam, triple threat between the two at WrestleMania. Dream scenario.
Right now, I don't know. That would be awesome.
I don't see it happening, but no, go ahead.
See, right now, I don't see who wrestles Taker. I mean, you could make a case for Lesnar. Lesnar versus Taker would be awesome, I think. I mean, they've wrestled each other before on a few occasions, and they've been great matches. The most bloody and brutal match, in my opinion, in the history of WWE was the Hell in a Cell between him and Lesnar, when Undertaker had that faucet coming out the side of his head. That's brutal. But, I would see maybe Lesnar, but I don't think so, man. I think they're gonna. I don't know. I'd love to see Bray Wyatt versus the Undertaker. Just those promos back and forth between each other would be amazing.
Bray Wyatt, I think. From what's been teased over the last few months, or what was teased immediately after the Royal Rumble, was that he's going to be facing John Cena. This has been reported for months now. So
they had that thing at the Royal Rumble.
What was that?
They had that situation at the Royal Rumble when he attacked Cena or whatever.
Yeah, and someone asked me a little while ago, they haven't built off it since then. They haven't built off of it because they want to focus on the Shield and the Wyatt family, and they don't want to make the Elimination Chamber so predictable. So they put it on the back burner. So I see Cena versus Wyatt happening, but on a dream card,
I honestly see Cena winning this weekend. I really do. I don't know why.
I don't know. I don't want to see Cena with the belt again. That would be, his 16th championship? Wouldn't he be tied with Ric Flair then?
No, he'd be one behind Ric Flair.
He'd be 15? Is it 15 or 14 now? I don't know.
Well, no, he was 14 times, so it'll be one behind Flair.
Oh, okay. I could have sworn, though, I could have sworn that the WWE...
Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. My numbers when it comes to things like that.
The fact we're even talking about how many title reigns that John Cena has had, 13 or 14 title reigns, is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, Ric Flair had to split out over, 40 years?
Yeah, exactly. Not
10
years.
Something like that.
Yeah. Not even 10 years, like 8 years. It's been 9 years almost, but whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. I like it because it's not extremely predictable. If Orton wins, whatever. I just don't think WWE is dumb enough to go with Orton versus Batista at WrestleMania. They can't. The fans in attendance will poop all over that matchup. There's no way that's happening. They can't. They have to add somebody else in there.
I see it coming down to whoever wins it.
Yeah.
I see Cesaro going down. I see Cesaro being the last man in the chamber. Not to win it, but I see him going him and whoever actually wins the match being at the end of the match.
It'd be super sexy if it came down between him and Bryan won. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Like a beautiful 20-minute back and forth between Bryan and Cena and Bryan and Cesaro in a perfect world. Then Bryan gets a roll-up win over Cesaro for the victory. That'd be oh my God, the place is coming
now. I've never, even in the independent scene, not that I can remember. Like I said, I'm an independent wrestling freak.
Yep.
I can never remember seeing Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro ever.
In a world title match, no less.
They were in the company at the same time, but I don't ever remember seeing them wrestle each other. Like I've seen, Chris Hero, because Chris Hero and Cesaro were a tag team called the Kings of Wrestling.
Yep.
I've seen Bryan and Hero a few times. Yeah. But I don't ever remember seeing Bryan versus Cesaro. If it was early on before he was the machine he has been the last 6-7 years.
Oh yeah, at least in WWE. I know they had that gauntlet match last year on Raw. It wasn't technically a singles match, but they had that. And then they had a singles match between the two, their first ever singles match on SmackDown maybe like 2 weeks ago or something. It was a really good match.
No, I was talking about just purely on the independent.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't talking about, I know they wrestle each other in WWE, but I'm talking on the independent level, like that is not a very big, as it goes back to dream matches I've always talked about.
Yeah. But speaking of such, I'm sorry we weren't able to get to that today, the dream matches, but hopefully we can have you back on another time and we could go on. I could talk to you for hours, man. It's been such a fun time.
We could do a whole hour on just those.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully I'll be able to have you back on before WrestleMania or around WrestleMania season. It's been a great time. But we went into overtime today, but there's no worries. We had a lot to cover. Had a great time covering it. But before you go, just make sure to plug your Twitter and what else, and where the fans can find you, man.
Oh, you can find me on Facebook. Just Jacob Bloom. My picture's half me in clown paint, the other half my real face. And on the Twitter, it's on the Twitters, the tweets, it's at Jacob, all uppercase letters, JACOB, and then LOOM, one word. And that's it. Again, I think it's the same picture on my tweets, the clown regular face thing. I'm not a juggalo, though, so don't anybody freak out.
Sounds good, man. And for those listening live or on the archive version, you can listen to the archive version over on my website, nexterawrestling.weebly.com. Check out exclusive excerpts of the show up on my YouTube channel, Graham GSM Matthews. Follow me on Twitter, at Graham GSM Matthews as well, at WrestleRant, and same thing for my Facebook page. And make sure to listen to WrestleRant every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central Time. We'll be back next week with Elimination Chamber review, the review of one of the biggest and most anticipated Raws in quite some time. We'll be back next week, this very Tuesday night. And this is GSM signing out. Till next week, folks.